My name is Justice Bartley. I used to play for UVA's men's basketball team. I'm a current millennial, trying to navigate through life, through COVID, like everyone else. And through this time, it's given me a lot to think about. So after I reflected on journeying through epilepsy and how I addressed the different, hurdles or speed bumps that came along with them, and how it brought me to this point today, and having a certain mindset about how to go about this year, the first thing I thought of was the idea of control, and how badly I just wanted to control my situation. I wanted to control what I felt like was taken away from me, if that makes sense. There's nothing like being in middle school and hearing from your doctor that you won't be able to play basketball. There's nothing like journeying through middle school and high school, feeling like you're, away from your friends because you have a condition that may not allow you to stay up all hours of night, or you may not be able to get involved as much as you'd like to with your friends because of your condition. So these were sort of the ideas that came into mind of how I went about that then, that I can bring into this moment now. And that was just letting go. I really had to understand that in life I won't be able to control everything. And that kind of gave me a sense of happiness, because it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders through that. I started thinking about the other alternatives, or the other ways I can get involved in certain organizations, or putting my time somewhere else. I can't focus so much on that one speed bump, because if I focus so much on that one thing, I forget to look up and look at everything else. The more you focus on one thing, the larger it becomes. And that's acceptance. That's embracing, that was me embracing my condition and being creative and figuring out the different ways of how to best go about me living with this condition. As a young kid, when I was in middle school, it was great. I was always a kid that would, I'm so outgoing, but at the same time, I like spending time by myself. I'm kind of like in the middle, a cross between an introvert and an extrovert. And that all changed once I started having my seizures. And after, spending time away from my friends and family when I was in the hospital, and I come back with this diagnosis of having epilepsy at 13, no child wants to go through, another, added piece to transitioning from, being a kid to like, oh, I'm about to, go into high school next year. So it was something that's definitely shaped how I think about relationships and just how they formed over the past few years, or how they formed just over the years in general, because it always felt like I was distant, or it always felt like there's this secret about me that I can't share with my friends, because if I do share it with my friends, they're gonna feel some type of way about it. And there's a chance that they could, accept me for who I am, but there's also a chance that I could be made fun of, and this is my, 13-year-old self, 12-year-old self thinking in my head about, oh, what if that happens, or what if that happens? And some advice I would give to my 12-year-old self for sure is that, again, those things are just out of my control. I can't control how these groups of friends at 12 and 13 will, like, how their opinions will impact me. you know, and yeah, me talking to my 12-year-old self, they can't do anything to impact you. They can't. You control your own thoughts, and only you can embrace and love yourself as much as you want to love yourself. You know, there'll be tons of people around you who will love you, who will adore you, and through life, you're always gonna meet someone or come across, you know, a couple of people who just don't think as fondly of you as you do, you know, and you just can't let that become a benefactor for. You just can't let that impact how you think of yourself. I remember when I was in high school, and after I got back on the basketball court, as I journeyed through, you know, the recruiting process and playing AAU basketball, or even just being on the high school basketball team, whenever I would meet new guys on the team, or whenever I would whenever I would become a new member on a team, it was like this big elephant in the room, because I knew I had to tell my coaches and the players about, you know, my condition, but I was always nervous about how they would respond. I know for myself today that, you know, on the next team that I become involved with and engaged with, that's something that I definitely want to address, and I want others to know. One, so that they can be on the lookout for my own safety. And over the years, I've learned to hold myself accountable, but it's always great for others to know, be aware, so that in the case that something does happen, that they can do the right steps, and they can take the right steps to, you know, to help me, you know, and to also help themselves. That brings me to the next most important part about telling someone, and that's because I get to take that opportunity to share with them what the condition is actually like, to not fact check them, but to put them at ease of what my condition is like and what to be on the lookout for. And it kind of gives me, you know, a little chance to, you know, show like the facts that I do know about epilepsy, because that means that I'll know more about myself and my journey.